I grew up in a family full of teachers, and so I spent a lot of time in my mom's classroom, just working in there and helping out. And I kind of knew from an early age that that's what I wanted to do. So after high school, I immediately started working with at-risk youth, like through different services like Trillium Family Services and Janus Services. And I did that for about 5 years. And after that, then I moved into a position as like a private homeschool teacher for a family slash a nanny. And it was there that I got introduced to natural learning relationships. And that was what we used to base the curriculum off of for the kiddo. And I just got to see firsthand how that shifted for that family and how that system changed in a way that benefited not only the kiddo, but also the family system and their learning style and nurturing the true consciousness of children. And that was a pretty special thing. And I was like, I want to do this with more than just 3 kids. So then the academy set out the teacher training, and I took that. And I was chosen to be an assistant educator. And so I spent about half of last year as an assistant educator, and then halfway through the year got a promotion to lead educator. And so that's where I'm at now. Halfway through last year, we started the Sapphire Room, which is, last year was a little different varied in age, but this year it's 6 to 8, which is a really fun age. And so the biggest thing about that age is they're growing in all these competencies, but they're very hesitant to step into them because it's a feeling of unsure and unfamiliar ways of how to deal with failure or lack of success. So the biggest thing in that Sapphire Room is creating a safe environment for those mistakes to come forth, because that's a huge mode of learning. And a big mode of learning at that age too is imitation. So if they see that it's okay and they continue to keep trying, then that really allows a lot of their greatness to come forth. So the biggest thing in there is that sense of safety with the kids, so that they can feel free to go into those areas of where they're unsure and know that they're going to be okay, even if they struggle. So, but our class is similar in a few ways to the Exploratorium, but we're kind of a bridge between there and the Emerald Classroom. Like we start our mornings out with music every morning, so kids get like a half hour of music before they move on to physical activity. And it's a great time with the music because it's so many like beautiful moments come out in the ways they move their body and handle conflict or play a game or just be silly. I mean, it's a great time. So we move in from there and we go into math. And in math, we look at a lot of just the Common Core standards in math, but we don't necessarily, we don't implement them in the way that you would find them in a public school. So while first graders are looking forward to addition and subtraction in numbers like between 20 and lower, or a few digits higher, and place values, which I think are great skills, rather than approaching it through testing, we do our own assessments and our own assessments not only of their skill level in there, but also their competencies there, but also their mode of learning. So not everybody gets the same work. I mean, some kids work really well with manipulatives and base 10 cubes, and that's great. But some kids are really great at doing it on pencil with paper, and other kids use different manipulatives. So we just find what works for that kid, come up with different strategies for different ways to approach problems, and we find that a lot of that brings a scaffolding element to the classroom, which allows different skills to pair with different skills to solve a complex or difficult problem. And right now in math, that's what we're working on. Like our 8-year-olds are working on more complex things, kind of jumping into a little bit with multiplication and skip counting in with them. But our first graders and second graders are working on those, the regrouping, the place values, really getting those in there. And in language arts, the biggest thing, and this is a huge thing for kids this age, is coming up with ways to improve fluency, and that's a big piece of what comes like the self-concept of a reader, which can be a challenging thing for kids to enter in with any type of confidence because they're unsure of how to, the phonological awareness might not be there in a way that they feel confident in, or maybe their reading voice is really quiet and that's something that they feel subconscious about. But we just breed that sense of safety within the classroom to go into those places. And so it's not a place where a kid will get shut down if they make a mistake. It's an opportunity to learn. And by doing that, we model our own mistakes quite a bit in the classroom and how we handle those mistakes. And that's something that I've definitely noticed has definitely had an effect on, in the classroom when kids do make mistakes. It's okay. It's a mode of learning. It's how we do it. So improving that fluency, and we work on comprehension and motivation of characters, story writing. We have some prolific story writers in our classroom. So it's a lot of fun, and a lot of great things come from it. And it also gives them that chance to share, which breeds that sense of safety and that self-concept of a reader. And we do that we have some kids who are truly beginning readers, and that's actually kind of one of my passions is teaching a kid how to read those phonemes and that alphabet and what happens at the beginning of a sentence and how do you know you're at the end of a sentence. And those things are really what lights my fire as a teacher, stepping into that place with a kiddo. And so that's a great time. And again, with our different skill levels, it's an excellent time too for that scaffolding to come forth with kiddos who might be more have more reading comprehension skills and are willing to sit with other kids and help them through either their read aloud or their sentence structure or their capital, just the whole gamut of everything. And with that comes a lot of art. We believe that art is a huge, huge mode of learning in our classroom. And it touches everything we do, from math, science, language arts, music. I mean, it runs the gamut. And we make sure that those kids have an opportunity at all times to feel like they have access to those things. We have an art table in our classroom. We encourage kids to draw or write at their desks if while a lesson's going on or while they're doing some like an activity choice. And we found that allowing that flexibility to come forth, that immersion curriculum really starts to breathe because they're really the ones guiding the show. We're just kind of shepherding the ship. We're just making sure we don't capsize. But the kids are really, every kid has a desire and a hunger to learn. And so we're there to nurture that, not tamp that out. And so we really listen and follow what the kids do. And that sense of safety, in addition, is great for those academic areas of challenge, but it also brings a way to approach interpersonal conflicts in the classroom. Ms. Townsend, who's the assistant in the Sapphire room, and I have a pretty large toolbox, a couple of really tremendous toolboxes in the classroom to approach those situations. And it's really contextual, but the biggest thing that comes from that is that sense of safety and that sense of rightful place. That sense of fairness that needs to come forth. And again, just like Kathleen was mentioning in her speech earlier, just sitting with a kid in their sadness or sitting with a kid in their happiness and noting it with that kid, like, hey, you were here, now you're here. How did that happen? And asking them to track it back, and we're making a game out of it. Really, really breeds a lot of cooperative play and emergent learning. Great dynamic learning.